Good morning, and we're in chapter 40. And as always, at the beginning of this chapter, there is a place where it talks about the purpose of the tabernacle. So what have we done so far? Moses got the commandment to make the tabernacle and gave him instructions. He then gave the instructions to Bahalil, or something like that. And Bahalil then made the temple, or the tabernacle and everything in it, and we had very good detail of that. So we've heard about these things 3 or 4 times already, and we're going to hear about it now as they set up the tabernacle itself. And remember, this is to draw the people to God in a way that they haven't been able to. And we should be able to see that in this. We see a lot of, remember, usually when I mark something in green, it's the commandments, what they're doing. And I just thought I'd point that out, that I kind of put that in there. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, On the first day of the first month, thou shalt set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. So it's been a year since they left Egypt, and they've had quite a few things that they've done, and quite a few adventures, you might say, but now they're setting it up, and they've been here for a while, most of the time by Mount Sinai, and had a chance to make the tabernacle. And thou shalt put, so if you think about it, it's been a year, so probably the last 9 months, all they've done is concentrated on building this tabernacle. And thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony, and the ark, and the cover of the ark with the veil. And thou shalt bring the table and set it in order, the things that are to be set in order upon it. And thou shalt bring the candlestick and the light of the lamps thereof. And thou shalt set the altar for gold incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the hanging of the door, or in the footnotes it just says set up the screen for, if that helps you out more. And thou shalt set the altar of the burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. And thou shalt set the lever between the tent and the congregation, and the altar shalt put water, and the altar, and shall put water therein. So you can just imagine in your head, hopefully you've seen it several times somewhere, either in the videos or we've talked about it in this sense, so you can kind of picture in your mind what's going on here. And thou shalt set up the court round about, and hang up the hanging at the court gate, the tapestries and things, or whatever you want to call them. And thou shalt take the anointing oil and anoint the tabernacle. So they're anointing it, they're consecrating it to the Lord, and all that is therein, and shalt hallow it, and the vessels thereof, and it shall be holy. And thou shalt notice, because the Lord is telling them to do this, it shall be holy. And thou shalt anoint the altar of the burnt offering and all the vessels, and sanctify the altar, and it shall be an altar most holy. They didn't just build it and say, okay, this is what it is. No, they sanctified it, they made it holy. And thou shalt anoint the lever and his foot, or the base of it, and sanctify it. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, the tent of the people, as it's called, or the tent of the congregation, and wash them with water. And thou shalt put Aaron and the holy garments, and anoint him, and sanctify him, and that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. I love the fact that it's saying he's ministering unto the Lord. And thou shalt bring his sons, and clothe them with cloths. I thought that there was, I almost passed by this. I wanted to go to this. And I've seen this picture so many times through my life since, I don't know when it was made, but it seems like ever since I was a little boy. And we've talked about all of this and everything that they made, and everything you can see that altar that they burned the burnt offerings on, and the laver, and you can see the priest's clothing exactly how it was described. I never really thought about it in this painting that much before. I thought, okay, this gives me an idea of what's going on. But after reading it as closely as we have the last couple of days, and then seeing it, it draws your attention to different details. Aaron's holding into his hands. Aaron's the one sitting down, if you don't know. The what they called the crown, or the hat, and on that is a gold band, and on the gold band says holiness to the Lord. And where do we hear that? We hear that on the temples today. In the front of each of the temples is holiness to the Lord. And we know that the clasps on his shoulders has the names of all of the 12 tribes. We understand that all of the precious stones in his breastplate, is each stone represents one of the 12 tribes. You can see all this detail that you might just think, oh, this is an interesting picture. Even in the background, you see Mount Sinai rising above. And if you look at the behind the priests, in the background as well, we've got the tapestry of the courtyard, and you can see that they're hooked together to the posts. We heard about how the posts were made. Everything was in what we've discussed so far. And I just found it kind of interesting. We've read this one, why did the Lord command Moses to wash and anoint and clothe Aaron and his sons? And we know that it is because they were to do the work of the Lord. And thou shalt anoint the laver of his foot, and thou shalt bring, Aaron and his sons into the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, wash them with water, and thou shalt put upon Aaron the holy garments, and sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt bring his sons, and clothe them in coats, and thou shalt anoint them, and thou anoint as thou didst anoint their father, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. For their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood through their generations. And I remember as a young man learning about this and knowing that when I pass the sacrament or something like that, I'm officiating in the Aaronic priesthood and helping people prepare to come to God, closer to God. Thus did Moses, according to all that the Lord commanded him, so did he. And it came to pass in the first month, in the second year, on the first day of the month, the tabernacle was reared up. And Moses reared up the tabernacle and fastened his sockets, and set up the boards, the bases. They're talking about the bases thereof, and put the bars thereof, and reared up the pillars. And just picture that picture that we had, them putting everything in place. And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above it, upon it, and the Lord, as the Lord commanded. Now watch what happens. He's going to have all this put together. And he took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark, and put the mercy seat upon the ark. As you see, each thing is taken into consideration, the things we've been talking about. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set up the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony, as the Lord commanded Moses. And it keeps coming back, as the Lord commanded. And he put the table in the tent of the congregation upon the side of the tabernacle northward within the veil. And remember, where they place it is important. It's facing a certain way. And he set the bread in order upon it before the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put a candlestick in the tent of the congregation over against the table on the side of the tabernacle southward, and lighted the lamps before the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put the golden altar in the tent, and the congregation before the veil. And he burnt sweet incense thereon, as the Lord commanded Moses. Have we got a theme here? Sure, a lot of things are going on, and it's things we've already heard, because the Lord has commanded it, and now Moses has done it. Does this sound very familiar? It might. Remember the creation? They talked about what should happen, the spiritual creation, and then they came down and did what they talked about, as the Lord commanded. And Moses does the same here, and maybe we can do in our lives. When we hear things at church and we think, well, we can improve on that, then go forth and do as the Lord has commanded you. And he set up the hanging at the door of the tabernacle, and he put the altar of burnt offering by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and offered up the burnt offering and the meat offering, that is like grains, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put water therein, to wash withal, I think that's 4 washings. And Moses and Aaron washed their hands and their feet thereat, and they went into the tent of the congregation. And when they came near unto the altar, they washed as the Lord commanded. And he reared up the court around about the tabernacle and the altar, and set up the hanging of the court gate. So Moses finished the work. When a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode thereon, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And there is a thing about the cloud. What did the cloud of the tabernacle symbolize? And it actually goes back to the same thing that led the children of Israel to this point in the first place. The cloud represents the glory of the Lord, and and them following the cloud was important. And notice how it ties in how that cloud appears here. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode thereon, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from the tabernacle, the children of Israel went on their journeys. So the same thing The cloud's here on the tabernacle, but now it's moved. We need to move with it. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not until the day it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and a fire was on it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel, throughout all their journeys. That is, see how important that is, and how the Lord is saying, this is my house. This is where I'm dwelling. And I will go before you when we travel. But when I'm here, I'm in my house. And you should point towards that house as well. I hope you got something from this. It does repeat, but think about what it's repeating and how it's saying it. I hope you had a breakthrough with things and felt the Spirit as I did today. And I'll see you tomorrow.